All right, so before we get started on today's vlog, I want to preface this episode by saying I'm going to be making a lot of blanket statements. I'm going to be making a lot of generalizations, and it's going to be based on anecdotal experiences and things that I've seen and experienced here after living in Tokyo and in Japan for about almost 8 years. So, if you agree with the things I say, that's great. If you disagree, please let me know. And if you, for some reason, take it personally and you decide, hey, Chris, you're an asshole, why are you saying these kinds of things? You can go fuck yourself. Just kidding. Maybe not. But seriously, I am just expressing my personal opinions here. So let's just get started. All right, thank you guys so much for joining me again here on Chris's Vlog, episode 4. And today's topic is why living in Tokyo sucks. I'm really excited to be able to talk to you guys about this topic because it allows me to do what I do best, which is be a fucking hater. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of people in Japan, whether it be a cultural thing, a societal thing, Japanese people specifically, are very uninteresting. I gotta say that a lot of people in Tokyo are really boring. And it's due to a lot of different things. It's due to the fact that the work-life balance is really bad. I mean, that's mainly one of the big reasons. Another reason might be the fact that people value comfort. Being comfortable, being safe over being uncomfortable and taking risks. So that's definitely a big factor. But when you put all of those things together, people are very uninteresting. What you need to, for me, my personal definition of being interesting is, for example, what are your hobbies, or not just hobbies, but like what are you doing to better yourself, or what are your dreams, what's your vision for the rest of your life, or what are your goals and things like this. So it's to each their own, and my definition of interesting is definitely different than a lot of other different people's. But for me, when I meet different types of people and I ask them, hey, what are your goals? Like, what do you want to achieve in your life? And when people say, I just want to work a 9-to-5 job, well, I mean, not in Tokyo. In Tokyo, it's like a 9 to 11 job. And they just want to get married by 25, have kids, and just do that for the rest of their lives. To me, that is respectable. I absolutely, definitely respect that. And sometimes I do wish that I could be satisfied with that kind of life. But for me personally, that is something that I find very uninteresting, and it's not for me. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that I am a very interesting person. I just have a great delivery. I just am able to deliver my plainness in a more exotic and exuberant way. And don't get me started about foreigners in Japan. Oh boy. And when I say foreigners, I mean there are a lot of different types of foreigners, but I'm gonna specifically focus on Western foreigners. So from like the U.S., Europe, so on and so forth. And man, it's not just a problem of Japan, but just in Asia in general. Just Asian people put Westerners on a fucking pedestal. God damn it. And it really gets to our heads. It gets to, my head. It gets to, people that are fresh off the boat. I mean, when you first get here and everyone's like, oh, you're so cool. You're from America, or you're from this. You speak English. Oh, you're so cool. You're a white guy. Oh my God, you're Brad Pitt. Like, that's going to get to anybody's head. And, the well-adjusted, self-aware people, they realize eventually that, you think, hey, maybe I'm not Brad Pitt, or hey, maybe it's not so cool, or maybe the people are saying this to me because they are just after something exotic. Who knows? But there are a lot of foreigners, specifically Westerners, that let that get to their head, and they basically think that they're the shit after a while. They're like, hey, I'm a fucking boss because everyone in Japan, like, for example, all the ladies love me because I'm a foreigner. Like, I mean, like, there are a lot of times, and, to give you a very specific example is the fact that I've met people who acted this way, who you can clearly tell that they let all of this information and all of this, empty praise get to their heads. But when you talk to them and you're from basically the same country that they're from, you realize that, wait a minute, bruh, you're awkward as fuck. But I mean, when you get to Japan, it's a whole new country. Nobody knows who you are. You can really be whoever the hell you want to be. So more power to them. More power to people that want to be something that they weren't when they were home. But like, don't when these people let that get to their heads and kind of enables them to have this entitled mentality, that is where I have issue with, and that is where you do encounter a lot of these types. I touched upon this topic when I was talking about people, but so corporate culture in Japan, and Tokyo specifically, is really terrible. I mean, crazy amounts of bureaucracy. Everything moves so slowly. Salaries are fucking terrible. I would say that, comparatively speaking, you would probably make about 30 to 40% more in the US easily. So you are absolutely going to get paid way less living in Tokyo. And it's not just about salaries, it's also about work-life balance. Work-life balance is just so terrible. I mean, it's just so unfortunate that people value work and their jobs and their companies more than their private life and health. Gender inequality. And this is something that I'm not saying, the West is great at, but it's also definitely something that the West is much better at, much more progressive. And here in Japan, gender inequality is just still so massive. Still men, even though they don't say it, they are a lot of instances and, a lot of ways that they act and the societal structures that are in place that are just so against women that want to, do things for themselves or take care of themselves or take care of their own bodies or whatever it might be. There is still such a huge stigma when it comes to independent women, for example. Of course, things are slowly changing, but still with the fact that Japan is such a conservative country. It is so conservative. So other things that I don't like about Tokyo or living in Japan, you can smoke indoors at most places, which is fucking disgusting. I mean, Jesus Christ, Japan, get with the times. It is 2018. None of the other countries, first world countries, allow you to smoke indoors. Get with the fucking program. I know that they just recently passed a law for 2020, but come on, it's way too slow. Besides that, I think there is a lot of inefficiencies. Japan is known for being very backwards. Cops are super useless. And yeah, I guess that's about it. I mean, there's so many other things I just can't think of right now, but I mean, if you guys ever want to talk about it, please hit me up. Thank you guys so much for joining me on episode 4 on why I think living in Tokyo sucks. Please keep in mind that there's been a lot of general statements made, and not everyone is like this. Not everybody in Tokyo is uninteresting or boring. I mean, I've met some fantastic people, Japanese people and foreigners, and it's just been an incredible ride. And everywhere in the world has their own specific problems. Each different person is going to experience different problems, and this has just been my personal take on why I think living in Tokyo sucks. Maybe that's a very strong way to put it. It might be kind of like a clickbaity title to get you guys to watch this video, but those were my thoughts, and I would love to hear some feedback on what you guys thought. So until next week, see you guys later.